right, hello and welcome back to the Math Puzzle Crash Course. We've got a little bit of a shopping problem here for shopping for school supplies, an example. What we want to do here is just see if you can create the equation based on the word problem here. It's fairly simple. We just have some items here and the cost of one item. A box of crayons, for example, $3.78. What we want to do is write an equation based on this word problem, which says if Sally buys 3 pencils, 4 folders, and 1 pad of paper, write out the equation and the final cost, and not including tax. Okay, we're not dealing with tax. We're just going to make this really simple. We've just got quantities and prices. And then I want to just show what I want to do is go through this and then show the relationship here with the order of operations and equations and how that works. All right, so if you'd like to, you could pause the video at this point and try to work this out, see what you get, and then we'll come back and work it out together. All right, so if you wrote this one out correctly, you're going to end up with 3 times 2.43 or 3 times $2.43, which is the cost of a pencil. And we're getting 3 of them. And then you're going to add that to 4 times the cost of 1 folder, which is 4 times $1.19. Um, and then we're saying we're going to add 1 pad of paper. A pad of paper is $2.95. So it's plus 1 times $2.95, or you could have just written it out as $2.95 at the end. And if you multiply and then add those all up, you should get $15 for the final cost. And, when you look at the equation, let me get a little pointer going here, a laser pointer. So this could basically also represent the order that the items are being scanned at the register. The cashier maybe sees that you have a pencil and the cost of a pencil is $2.43 and it's multiplied by 3. So first thing is they're scanning the pencils and then scanning the folder and then scanning the pad of paper. And then the final cost is $15, which makes sense. So parentheses, just also remember, you could have written this out this way too, but remember that parentheses and brackets are redundant around the multiplication and are not necessary. I know a lot of people, I hear a lot of people tell me, well, you would multiply first, but only if you have brackets or parentheses around the multiplication, and that is not true. I mean, you can add them for clarity if you want to, but if you recall the order of operations, multiplication already has precedence over addition. So you can add them if you want, but there's no difference between this equation and this equation. They're the same thing. And if you don't think so, you're welcome to go look it up. But it's also a common misconception and myth that something like this, an equation, or even an expression without the equal sign, but it's a common misconception that such an equation is to be solved left to right as it's written, basically ignoring order of operations. Now, if that was true, you really need to think about that statement because if that was true, the answer would be different depending on the order that items were scanned at the checkout. And so I'm going to go through an example of how some people solve this incorrectly. What they do is they would come in here and they would do the multiplication. 3 times 2.43 gets 7.29. Then they immediately add the 4. They're ignoring order of operations. They're just going left to right. So 729 plus 4 is 1129. Then they'd be multiplying by the 1.19, getting 12.48. Then adding this 1, 12.48 plus 1 is $13.48. Then they'd be multiplying by the 295 because they're just moving left to right. They're not following order of operations. They're going to end up with $39.76. So somebody that would solve this is going to end up paying a lot more because they solved it incorrectly. So that's wrong. But not only that, you have to think about it. If you change the order of the items in that equation, the price would change. Notice, that doesn't make any sense, and it's also not how it's to be solved. The order of operations makes the answer the same regardless of the order the items are scanned. So these three equations are all the same. You notice the order is different. In the first one, it's written out just as I did at the beginning. In this one here, you could think of this as if the cashier scanned the $1.19 items first, followed by the 295 item and the 243. I forget exactly. I think the folder was $1.19. I think the pad of paper was 295, and the box of crayons I think was the 243 item. So you can see here, it doesn't matter what order the cashier would scan those items in, you're still going to pay $15. So it kind of debunks this whole left to right nonsense. And, I hear that quite a bit from people who say, well, back in my day, you just solve left to right. Or, back in the 1930s, my teacher told me to go left to right. No, they really didn't. If they were competent, they didn't do that. And, here's a good thing to debunk that whole idea. So anyhow, I hope this video has been helpful. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.